Right now, we're going to jump back into some high school basketball. Nick's telling me we do have Mike McGarry here. We've been having a little trouble with the phone lines, but going into Facebook mode here to get things done. Improvise, adapt, overcome. All right, we got Mike McGarry there. Good morning, Mike.
Hello?
Hello, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you?
Yo, we're into the new century now with some Facebook Messenger application going on here.
Yeah, I'm barely in my league right now, but I'm hanging in.
I was telling Nick, I'm like, I'm not sure if he knows how to use that. So.
I do have Facebook. I just use it to post my stories, but I've hit some correct buttons here, and now we are communicating. So,
all right, the green button, green means go. So we're ready.
Yeah, exactly. The one with the line through it means it's not working. Okay, you got to get rid of that one.
There you go. So what's happening, man?
Oh, just getting ready for another weekend of basketball. Heading out later today to the Shoot Down Cancer Classic out at St. Augustine. Always a great event run by Dave Catalana and his wife Beth to raise money for the CHOP Children's Health Hospital in Philadelphia. Some great games today. Morristown, Wildwood Catholic, St. Augustine, Trenton, and Pleasantville taking on undefeated Elizabeth at 2:00 today. So those are just three of the big games out there at St. Augustine today.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. The Pleasantville Elizabeth game. I'm not sure what time that's going to be. Probably like 2:30 or so.
Yeah, right around there, 2:15, I believe.
Pleasantville really been playing well. They've had a couple of hiccups, but they look like they're starting to figure everything out and had a really tough win over Egg Harbor Township this week. I was pretty impressed with EHT. They went on the road and scored a win over Vineland last night, so they're hanging in there. And so Pleasantville had all they could handle from those guys. The EHT got off to a 15-0 start to start the game, and Pleasantville was really on its heels for most of that game before they pulled it out late. And Mike, one of the guys that really impressed me, and I think we'll see a lot more of him and start hearing his name a lot more, is sophomore Elijah Jones, the forward for Pleasantville. He's really starting to come on strong and figure things out.
Yeah, he's a guy to watch. He's kind of guy that's already on the radar of several colleges. 6'7" sophomore. I mean, last Sunday against Holy Spirit, he was 7 of 7 from the field. Played great the other night against EHT. So, he's definitely a player to watch. And, of course, Pleasantville with those 2,000-point scorers in Jalen Freeman and Samir Jones and Jacob Vallis, also a standout player. So Pleasantville has some firepower. And when they get rolling, as they did in the fourth quarter against Holy Spirit last Sunday night at the Seagull Classic, they can be tough to stop.
And I should also mention Corey Crawford. He's right there with Elijah Jones, kind of in the same mold, a very tall, rangy guy who can do a lot of the defensive end. He hasn't really asserted himself as much as Jones on the offensive side, but he's really become a force on defense.
Yeah, they've got some good role players, too. And you mentioned the game with EHT. I mean, EHT, I kind of took a look yesterday. It's on our website today as at the, the 8 boys and girls teams that are kind of, putting themselves in position right now for the Cape Atlantic League tournament. And I had EHT in there. They're 7-6, but they've had some big wins. Win over Atlantic City earlier this season. They played a tough schedule. They lost to Haddonfield, who's number 1 in our Elite 11 over Christmas. And last night they go out to Vineland, as you mentioned. DJ Campbell for Vineland scores his 1,000th point, becomes the first Vineland player since 2009 to accomplish that feat. But Jordan Sweeney, who, we all think of as the baseball player headed to Rutgers, scores 23 points and leads EHT to a big road win. So that's a nice win for the Eagles there and kind of puts them in contention for that, Cape Atlantic League tournament, keeps them right there.
Talking with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. And Mike, taking an early look at the Cal tournament, there could be as many as 5 or 6 teams going for those last 2 spots. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which conference gets the 3 bids and which one is left with only 2.
Yeah, I mean, and the kind of division that sort of symbolizes that is that national division. You look last night and, another national division game, another game that comes down to the wire. Mainland goes over to Ocean City. They get Mainland rather goes over to Holy Spirit. Luke Mazer gets hot in that second quarter. Mainland's up by 14, I believe, in the third quarter. Holy Spirit comes back. Mainland holds them off and wins by, I believe, 2 points. Christian Kalinowski with a running three-pointer from just over half court, bounces off the rim. Big win for Mainland. They're 7-4. Holy Spirit 7-4. Lower Cape May, one of the surprise teams in the league right now at 9-1, and of course Ocean City right there. I believe it's 7-2. Of those 4 teams, at least 2 will get in. It'll be interesting to see if they get 3 in. And a big week coming up for Lower Cape May next week. I believe they've got Holy Spirit and Ocean City coming up this week. So big division games for the Caper Tigers, who at 9-1 are probably one of the biggest surprises in the league right now after they graduated so many standouts, including Pat Holden from a team that went to the South Jersey Group 2 final last year.
Yeah, Mike, it's going to be kind of a game of musical chairs, but with the music sped up when you get down to the first or second week of February.
Yeah, and you've got EHT kind of in that American division now, along with Millville and St. Augustine, and of course you've got Wildwood Catholic, St. Joe, and Pleasantville in the United Division. So, you really look at a 4-3-7. There's probably about 10 teams, probably a little more, but at least 10 solid contenders for 8 spots. And right now, if the tournament was held today, you'd have 2 teams having very good seasons not get in the tournament. So I think if you look at the overall depth of the CAL this year, I think you've got a league with, as much depth as has been there the past 4 or 5 seasons.
Well, Mike, we're starting to see some teams get on some rolls. Millville has won 6 in a row. Lower Cape May 5 in a row. Wildwood Catholic 5 in a row. So you're starting to see a little bit of separation, not on a huge scale, but at least we're starting to see which teams are maybe we can say, okay, they're for real. St. Augustine got back on track. They're 7-2 overall, 4-0 in the Cal American. So we're starting to see that little bit of separation. Obviously, it's still kind of jumbled in the middle. But who has been really the most impressive team for you so far? I mean, for me, it's Wildwood Catholic. I mean, they're 10-1 overall and just had their way with the Patrick School at the Seagull Classic. Really looks like a team that's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Wildwood Catholic right now, the defending champion that has clearly sort of established themselves as the team to beat, especially what they did this past week, beating the Patrick School on Sunday, coming back and really beating St. Augustine, winning for the first time at St. Augustine since 1993, and really controlling the game from the second quarter on. And just a big week for Taj Fleet, the 6'7 junior out of Wildwood Catholic, played great against the Patrick School, followed up with another great effort against St. Augustine. And thinking back, in Fleet, I think you've got an athletic big man that the Cape Atlantic League hasn't seen since, I'm going to go back to the early 2000s when, St. Augustine featured Alou Babalola and, Andrew Sullivan. Andrew went to Villanova, Alou went to Clemson. I don't think the Cape Atlantic League has seen an impact athletic big man like Fleet of that ability really since then. There have been some good ones since then. Justin Mutz comes right to mind from St. Augustine, a couple others, but I think Feet might be the best since Babalola and Sullivan played for St. Augustine, 15 years ago.
We're talking with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. And Mike, big game tomorrow for St. Joe. They're taking on Camden Catholic at 3 p.m. What do we make of this team? Obviously, they have plenty of talent. I was speaking with Coach Paul Rodeo Jr. last week at the Seagull, and he wasn't very happy at all. Even though they won that game, he said, hey, we got a lot to work on, and we could easily go from 7-0 to 8-5 in a heartbeat here. So he was worried about his guys getting a little bit too overconfident, and they took a loss this week. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond in a big game like this tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a big game for St. Joe. They got off to that undefeated start. We had them number 4 in the Press Elite 11, and then they go to Millville on Monday, and Millville wins the game 54-49. Now, let's give some credit to Millville there. Rynell Lawrence, Eddie Jamison, Little John Green. That's really a statement win for Millville. I believe they're 9-2 after beating Cumberland Regional last night in a kind of a Cumberland County rivalry. I think Millville's out at the Seagull, the Shoot Down Cancer Classic today. I believe they play Pittman this afternoon, and it's a Millville team that's kind of, brought everybody back and has really had an excellent season. So let's give Millville some credit for that win over St. Joe. At the same time, St. Joe gets an opportunity to bounce back against Camden Catholic and kind of, get the, get some credibility back that they might have lost in that loss to Millville. Marcellus Ross at 25 last night. They played well. They beat Cape May Tech. It'll be an interesting test for them to go up against one of South Jersey's premier programs in Camden Catholic on Sunday.
Mike, better name, Babatunde Ajike or Little John Green?
I think Little John Green is the best name in South Jersey, considering he's 6'7".
Yeah, he's not little at all.
I think you throw in the name with the height, and I think that's a winner every time.
Are you surprised to add Millville? I mean, they've won 6 in a row now, 9-2 overall, so they're right there in the conversation as one of the top teams in the Cal.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, they brought back everybody from a team that really took, I saw them play Atlantic City 3 times last year, twice in the regular season and once in the state tournament. And they took Atlantic City to the final second in every one of those games. That was an Atlantic City team that went to the South Jersey final, went to the Cape Atlantic League final, went 25-5 or whatever it was. So Millville took that team to the wire all 3 times. They bring back Rynell Lawrence, who is a 1,000-point scorer. They've got some standout athletes on that team, well-coached team by Mike Jones. So I'm not surprised at all that Millville has been able to do what they've done. If anything, maybe we were kind of, for what they brought back, maybe I and some other people were kind of overlooking them a little early in the season, because a lot of their games, they won a lot of their games. But they've won them, they've controlled tempo and won games, 50-something to 40-something. Maybe that win over St. Joe, certainly woke me up and woke the rest of South Jersey up to what, Millville can achieve this season. They've got a big game this Friday. I believe they host St. Augustine this Friday, at 6 p.m. in a game that'll determine first place in the Cape Atlantic League American Division. So that'll be another big game coming up this week.
Mike, have you pre-ordered your Mike Trout Millville-themed cleats?
I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but every time I go out to Millville, I walk past that little display case that they have for Mike in the hallway outside the gym that's really got some memorabilia and everything else, and just kind of remember, his time at Millville. So, I will be out at that game on Friday, and I will take a spin past that, that kind of display case they got out there to honor Mike in the Millville hallway outside the gym.
Well, check out snjtoday.com if you get a chance. He's teaming with Nike for a Millville-themed special edition cleat. It's going to have like the P-47 Thunderbolt on it and stuff like that.
It sounds like a must-get for somebody's birthday or Christmas.
I'm thinking they're going to be in the upwards of $200-300 range.
Yeah, well, I'll pass, but I'm sure they'll be spectacular.
Great stuff as always, Mike. We appreciate it, and we'll count on you to keep us informed on high school basketball throughout the next 2 months, buddy.
All right, Sully, I can't believe this actually worked, or I can't believe I actually figured it out. And good talking to you. We'll talk to you next weekend.
You got it. Thanks, Mike.